Very good afternoon. My name is Professor Mark Macklin, and have the honour of being the founding director of and founding head of the Lincoln School of Geography, which was the first school really in a generation to be set up in the UK. And as you can see from this quote from Rita Gardner, the former director of the Royal Geographical Society, represents one of the most significant investments in UK geography generation for a generation. What I'm going to do just in this next 10 minutes is to set out what we do in the school, some of our excellent research-led and teaching-led staff, and outline the curriculum that we have developed and we're very proud to share with you. After my presentation, there will be an opportunity to chat live using Unibuddy with my two colleagues, Dr. Adi Ojo, who's the program leader for the BA Geography, and Professor Edward Hanna, who is the leader for BSc program in the school. Key question, I suppose, in these very unusual times is why to choose a particular university and why to choose a particular school of geography. We're actually unique at University of Lincoln, and we were prescient in the way that we set up in 2016 around the theme of the safe, and healthy inhabited Earth. And we were prescient in the sense that in some respects, we sort of anticipated some of the major health issues that have emerged through the current pandemic. There's been a huge investment, around about £7 million in terms of geography teaching at Lincoln. We have a new Centre for Water and Planetary Health, the first of its kind in the UK, and we have a fantastic staff-student ratio of about 1:8. And as probably all of you know, geography is one of the most practically relevant degrees, and it has exceptional employability. Because we aspire to have a global reach and actually look at global issues, shown in this figure here, it's not going to be death by PowerPoint. And I should point out that an extended copy of this presentation you can find on the web. But the red stars indicate where our staff come from. We actually come from all of the inhabited continents. And the green circles is where our research takes place. And we generally have a group of very distinguished, genuinely award-winning staff and students. And if we just start on the left-hand side, one of our graduating students, Bart Hill, won the Dean's Prize in 2018. My two colleagues, Adi Ojo, receiving his award from the Liverpool Commissioner of Police, and Professor Edward Hanna at the bottom. You'll be talking with them later. And it's one of probably the few times that you will see me as head of school in a suit. I was very privileged to win the Royal Geographical Prize, the Murchison Award, in 2018. And perhaps something we are most proud of is that in 2020, we won for the first time, the first opportunity we could do this, the University of Lincoln Student Unions Award for Best Course of the Year. And that was a remarkable achievement considering we've only been set up since September 2016. And I suppose our students are the best guides, the best litmus test in terms of the quality of our research-led teaching. Let me just emphasize the research-led teaching that we do in the school. We deal with global and also with regional issues. These can range from issues dealing with malaria, where myself and our global chair in water and planetary health, Professor Chris Thomas, we work in sub-Saharan Africa, and we provide training in remote sensing, GIS, and ecohydrology. And there are project opportunities in Tanzania and Zambia. Edward Hanna, who is our award-winning world leader in extreme weather and climate change, leads in terms of climate change impacts, both on the hydrological extremes, floods and droughts. And this builds into the work we've done in terms of developing a meteorological station at the University of Lincoln, where our students can share their research with Edward. We also, as I mentioned, were ahead of the curve. We were researching, this is fantastic work done by one of our young colleagues, Crichton Conley, who actually has been researching issues of infectious disease and urbanisation, and actually has a paper which anticipated the COVID crisis, which was published this year. Turning to some of the regional issues, we are very interested and use big data. It's essentially in terms of the current world, understanding the big data, understand its limitations. In this case, looking at crime and police numbers. We also look at a local level. This is work led by Harriet Moore, again, another one of our young geographers, trying to understand the inequalities which are emerging as a response to the COVID issues, and the way understanding the geographical data can be actually fed into dealing with the issues on the ground. And then last but not least, and I'm just really highlighting and flagging up some of the major research-led issues within the school, the way that we have outreach with schools, and particularly in terms of understanding climate change, the climate crisis, with local authorities, with local governments, as I mentioned, with local schools. So that's just giving you a flavour of some of the research-led teaching we do in the school. This very quickly is a breakdown in terms of our programme. Again, the details can be found on the web. And if you've got any questions, you can follow this up with Addie and Edward after my broadcast. In the first year, which we have revamped this year, strongly interdisciplinary. This is common to both BA and BSc, a mixture in terms of lecture-based teaching, a mixture of in terms of practical-based teaching, and the emphasis always is on employability, on practical skills. That links onto our second year, where there is opportunity for the BSc and BA and BSc programs to develop their own paths. There are core modules in terms of qualitative and quantitative techniques, modelling and visualisation, and of course geography research and fieldwork, which we do anticipate as we move through, perhaps in a year's time. We will certainly have a socially distanced fieldwork in the school. And then, as you would anticipate, a wide range of optional modules, both in terms of BSc and BA. And just looking at the BA and BSc program in the third year, there is a dissertation research project, which has been remarkably successful this year, with some outstanding performances by both BA and BSc streams. And then there are 6 optional modules, 3 in each semester, which our BA and BSc program students can take. And as you can see there, a very wide range of modules, in fact, covering all aspects of 21st century geography that you would expect. And I've just highlighted and boldened placements in black at the bottom. We have a very well-established placement program in the School of Geography. Again, it's been remarkably successful this year, even under lockdown and social distancing. And most importantly, we actually have an employment engagement officer who helps us place students and looks after them. And many of our students are actually moving into working for some of these firms as we see next year. Most importantly, our degree is accredited by the Royal Geographical Society, and that should give you confidence in terms of our degree programs. And just to end on, we have a series of new masters that are starting this year in water and planetary health, development environment, and an MGeog. So we do anticipate, and we are expecting many of our undergraduates both to go into teaching related programs, programs related to geography across the UK, and also in terms of master's teaching in our own school. Just to end on, these are the entry requirements for the school. I'm not going to read the details there, but what you would expect in terms of both A-levels and BTEC and International Baccalaureate. And then finally, if you've got any questions, these are the contact emails and names. Diogo and Edward Hanna will be there to listen to your questions afterwards. Many thanks for listening. I've kept to time. Keep safe.